So thank you, Andy Hoffman, for joining me today. I'd like to discuss for just a couple of minutes the idea of messaging and how to create an effective message for a communicator who wants to get that idea across. So you've talked about a couple of specific audiences, your business audience, which is your bread and butter, and other opportunities where you might address environmental groups about things like climate change. So if a scientist was interested in addressing one or both of these audiences, what types of qualities would a message have that would make it stick for each of these audiences? Like, what would make it memorable?
Well, I think the key is to make it salient for the audience that you're talking to,
Sure.
which means you need to understand what kind of messages and what kind of messengers they resonate with.
Absolutely.
In business audiences, I might not invoke Al Gore. I may invoke Paul Pullman, the CEO of Unilever.
Sure.
So I try and find messengers that resonate with the audience I'm speaking to, but also I think in either audience, storytelling and making these issues evocative and salient. So in either audience, my stories may change because the audience may resonate with one story versus another, but stories themselves are anecdotes. Personal anecdotes are even better because I can talk about them from my personal life, my real life, and they have a much stronger richness and they're real. And so I think that either audience, I was intrigued. It was, I think, 2 years ago, I read in the newspaper that Boston University had hired acting coaches for their business school professors on how to speak to general audiences. And I think that's an interesting idea if you're really going to be a good communicator.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to sort of drill down on this idea of what about storytelling helps resonate. And so what I hear when I hear storytelling is things like making something attached to a particular idea, making it concrete, and making it emotional, and making it personally relevant. Is that the type of thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, it is. It's an example, an applied example that people can relate to, that they could imagine themselves being in the scenario or the story I'm telling. Particularly if you can have a story that has a humorous part to it, that catches. I've even at times opened up talks to business audiences with a joke. Just as a way it warms me up.
Sure.
But it warms them up to me. It makes them more receptive. It develops a rapport.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a doctoral student hearing some very, very famous people use that tool, just come in. I remember John Chancellor at the Harvard Law School opening with a joke. I still remember the joke. I still use the joke sometimes. And I think that says something right there, that you connect with the audience in this way.
Sure. So can you give me an example of like what kind of story you would tell to a business audience and what kind of story you would tell to an environmental group audience?
They're not always different.
Yeah.
But it could differ in terms of perhaps the joking or the levity you might apply. I think an environmental audience would laugh more at a story where a business person is the foil.
Sure.
And a business audience might laugh more where an environmentalist was the foil. But I don't get me wrong, I don't mock either in either audience.
Sure.
And the stories will be similar because I do see myself as straddling the line. So I don't see them hugely different, actually.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, those are really important insights. So thank you so much for sharing them with us today.
It's my pleasure.